The UAE4 series finale continues here at Lusail International Circuit, and after the difficulties and frustrations of race one yesterday, all of the drivers want to be blasting out of the blocks nice and early. For me in the commentary box, just hanging on to my vocal cords is going to be the biggest challenge. For Joe Smith on pole position, it's a reverse grid race opportunity for him to go for the victory. But after a very stop and start race yesterday, all of the contenders in UAE4 are going to be working very hard to ensure that they go out of this campaign with a little bit more than a whimper. They want to go out with a bang. Two races to go in the UAE4 Series 2026. A tough battle ahead of us for our youngsters as they gear up on the Lusail International Circuit once again. Yesterday we had a very tricky first race. It didn't exactly last the full length in terms of green flag running. A run down to the first corner that ended up with problems for Platon Kostin. Contact with his car meant he couldn't steer round the first corner, and he ended up coming to a stop on the way to the first apex. With his car damaged, the safety car was brought out. Then there was another issue out on the circuit as we had problems for David Cosma. There were also problems around the field for Xavi Abi Gabriel as he spun on the way to the safety car period. Once the race was neutralized, we could get ourselves back to racing conditions after a red flag, as the difficulties with both the cars of Pablo Costin and David Cosma ended up causing us a bit of a headache, and so the race was red flagged. It was resumed with 17 minutes plus one lap still remaining, and so the drivers knew there was going to be a long wait for the race to get started again. What that did give us under red flag conditions was a change of the guard, because what we then got was a nighttime race. The drivers battling away right from the outset on the restart. Andy Konsani trying to get away from his title nemesis Alexander Bondarev. There were battles all the way through the field, a couple of drivers coming a cropper, and there would be some scalps. The most notable among them, the likes of Vladimir Vakalantsev and Zachariah Dole. Those two coming together after an issue with Hani Sadiq. There would also be a couple of moments coming out of the final turn, and that would certainly put a couple of drivers' noses out of joint. Zachariah Dole out on the circuit, bringing another safety car period. That gave us a one-lap green flag sprint. Alexander Bondarev trying everything he could to overhaul Andy Konsani into turn one, was not able to do so. So for the Frenchman, Andy Konsani continues his battle for the title, taking his second race victory of the season. But with 2 races left, he's got 17 points to gain from the final 2 races of the season. The title could still go either way, but Andy Konsani has certainly started his week in flamboyant fashion. The Mercedes Junior triumphed yesterday in the first race of the meeting. We've got 2 more today, the first of which is the reverse grid battle. And for those of you who are superstitious, today is going to be an interesting one, because the final 2 races of the season, round 4, race 2, and round 4, race 3, will be taking place on Friday the 13th. I don't know if that's a good omen or a bad omen for all of the contenders out there. Certainly for my vocal cords, it's a bad omen. Sorry guys, I ended up catching the flu over the course of last night. But if you think that's going to stop me from talking about the battle for the title, you would be very wrong indeed. This man gets to go on reverse grid pole position. Joseph Smith inherited P12 once all of the infringements and penalties were handed yesterday. So Joe Smith going from pole position for the XL Motorsport team. He's lining up alongside a man who's already taken a reverse grid victory this season, Niccolo Macagnani, the Italian, who will get to go from the second position of the grid. And having already taken one reverse grid victory so far this season, he'll be desperate to go for another. Third position on the grid will be the German ace for Race GP, Elia Weiss. A big opportunity for him to become the 73rd different driver to take an F4 race victory out in the Middle East since the category was first run here 10 years ago. Incredible to think that Alexander Bondarev, who currently leads the standings, has 6 victories to his name from last year and this year, combining the two categories. And that makes him the 6th most successful driver in the Middle East for F4 for race victories, on 6 wins, tied with Hamda Al-Kubaisi, Alex Powell, Emanuele Olivieri and Rafael Camara. This man is in that winners list, Thomas Stolchemanis, with a good chance to get back there for a second time. A very talented race driver from Latvia. Great to see him back in the paddock this weekend. This man also has a chance to add a second win to his tally. Christian Castoya, who managed to get the victory in Dubai in the second race of the weekend. And the young McLaren charge, definitely a driver to keep an eye out for over the course of the 2026 racing campaign. 46, Jacopo Martinese has already got a podium under his belt. He managed to grab a 3rd place finish in Dubai. He's been getting better and better as the season has progressed, and he'll certainly want to go out of the UAE4 series with a very strong performance. Next up, Theo Palmer from the United Arab Emirates, battling away for high tech, looking forward to getting himself ready for the British series later this season. And he'll certainly want to end things out here in the Middle East in a positive light. His teammate is alongside him on the starting grid, Scott Kin Lindblom, the Swedish talent in the Red Bull Junior lineup. It'll be fascinating to see what he can do from all the way back in P8 of the starting grid. Number 8 in P8. Then we've got the 4 main protagonists from yesterday. Kenzo Craigie, 9th on the starting grid, 4th in yesterday's race. Sadly, that wasn't enough to keep him in the title fight. He's still looking good to be the top rookie of the season, but he is now mathematically out of the game to win the UAE4 Series title outright. It's now just Ghonsani and Bondarev that have the chance to seal that. Alpak Soy took his 2nd rookie victory yesterday. The 15-year-old superstar from Istanbul managed to come home 3rd in yesterday's first race, his first overall podium of 2026. He was behind his teammate, Alexander Bondarev, Bondi the Bison, the man from Kiev in Ukraine, lives out in Monza in Italy, and he is just a few short hours away from realizing his momentum could take him to the UAE4 Series title here in 2026 and set him in motion for a great campaign. This is now the only man in the field who can stop that from happening. The Frenchman, Andy Ghonsani from Aix-en-Provence, the Mercedes junior driver, looking to try and hoodwink the Ukrainian in the last 2 races of the year. First, he's got to get ahead of him in this one. 13th on the grid for Dominik Šimek, making steady progress through the campaign. Good to see that he just keeps getting better with every weekend that we race. And the very talented superstar for Trident Motorsport definitely making big strides. Hopefully there's more where that came from. For Bernardo Benaldi as well. Great to see that another son of a great Formula One talent, Bernardo Benaldi, the son of Enrique, who never really got his chance to showcase his ultimate pace, being stuck as he was for 2 seasons in the uncompetitive Arrows team. Jaber Al-Sabah for the Kuwaiti fans watching back home at Kuwait Motor Town. Good to see that he's making steady progress. 33 next in the lineup, that is Tomika Tamaskenda from Hungary. Good to see that he's still making steady progress through the field as well. He had a difficult day at the office yesterday, almost didn't get out for qualifying, so to see him in the mid-pack is very encouraging indeed. Well, we didn't get the chance to talk about her, but one of the most impressive drivers from yesterday lining up on the grid alongside Bader Al-Sulaiti was Emily Cotti, who went from 30th on the grid to 18th in yesterday's race. If she can keep making up that kind of progress, we will hopefully get to see her in the point scoring positions at least one more time, maybe even twice before the season ends. But this is the last day of the season in UAE4. This is the last reverse grid race of the campaign. It is just coming up to 9:45 in the morning here at Lusail International Circuit. It's an early one for those watching back home in Europe. It's a late one for those watching in Asia and the Pacific regions. And it's a very late one indeed if you're watching out in North America. But the green light comes on and the Formula Middle East Finale 2026 continues here as we go to battle for race 2. This is the final reverse grid race of the season. 17 points between Alexander Bondarev and Adi Konsani in the title fight. And all Bondarev needs to do here is stay in front of his French opponent. Consistency is key to winning the title. It's not a disaster. It's tough, but it's not impossible for Adi Konsani. It's going to be a very tricky race battle, that's for sure. Looks like we may have a couple of drivers left on the starting grid initially. Hopefully they'll all get the chance to join in. But we can talk you through the process of the battle as the drivers are on their final formation lap. So let's go through the starting lineup then. Joe Smith is alongside Niccolò Macagnani on the front row of the reverse grid race. Elia Weiss versus Thomas Stolgimanis on the second. Christian Castoya and Jacopo Martinez on the third. Then it's Theo Palmer alongside his teammate Scotkin Lindblom. The top 10 rounded out by Kenzo Craigie and Alpak Soy. The title contenders on row 6, Alexander Bondarev and Adi Konsani. Dominic Šimek versus Bernardo Bernoldi. Then it's Jaber Al-Sabah and Tamas Gender. Next up, Bader El-Sulaiti versus the British driver Emily Cotti. Then Rowan Campbell-Pilling, her countryman, alongside Florentin Hattemer. Adam Al-Azari and Jarrett Clark, who was penalised at the end of yesterday's race. Shabal Abi-Gabral and Kingsley Jung. Eduardo Yakabuchi and Ryushu Nakazato of Japan. Then Lucas Pasquinetti and his teammate Brock Burton. Rafael Weissen and Nasser Al-Thani. Ben Yuing will line up alongside Hani Sadiq. Sunan Shi is going to be beside Zakaria Dole. And at the back of the field, we'll have Vladimir Verkalantsev and David Kozma, along with Platon Kostin, and the man sadly excluded from yesterday's race for a technical infringement, Thomas Ingram Hill, going from the back. So the 38 drivers getting ready for a very exciting battle for all of the contenders. So it really is going to be a sensational battle for all of the competitors to go to battle in this ever-increasing heat here in Lusail International Circuit. It's currently 29 degrees Celsius and we haven't even reached 10 a.m. yet. Very hot indeed today, hotter than it will have been yesterday. And it's high humidity, 59% humidity. There was a little bit of mist over the course of yesterday. So that will definitely make the conditions here very tricky for our contenders. 39 degrees Celsius track temperature. It's going to be very high tire degradation indeed this morning, especially if we get ourselves a very strong run. So all of the contenders lining up on the grid. Many thanks to those of you who are sending your best wishes for my vocal cords. You should have heard them 2 hours ago. Fortunately, a little bit of green tea and a banana has definitely helped. But racing is going to help even more as we get ourselves ready to see if Joseph Smith can become the 73rd driver to win a race in the Middle East in an F4 competition in the last decade. The most successful driver of all time, Jonathan Aberdeen, who took 17 victories when he was in the early days of F4. Those were in the days when we had 4 races to a weekend, and it was an absolute rout for Jonathan Aberdeen in those days. But the top 6 drivers in terms of competition for all of the contenders, the likes of James Wharton, Charles Weerts, Francesco Pizzi and Matteo Nannini all have decent winning ratios as well. If Bondarev gets a win today, he'll become one of the top 5 best drivers in the Middle East in F4 for race victories ever. 28 minutes plus 1 lap though for Joe Smith versus Niccolò Macagnani. Then Weiss, Stolgimanis, Castoya, Martinez, Palmer, Lindblom, Craigie, Aksoy, and the title contenders Bondarev versus Konsani on the 6th row of the starting grid. Let's see if we get a better race than yesterday. Just getting through 5 green flag laps would be an achievement compared to what we had in yesterday's encounter. The marshals are clearing the grid. We wait for the green flag at the back. There it goes. So now we will get ourselves the starters orders for the second race of 3 this week in the UAE4 series. Lights start to come on, and for the second time this week, let's race again at Lusail. Good start from Joe Smith. Pretty decent start from Macagnani. Looks like he's going to launch forward and get ahead of Joe Smith nice and early. A fantastic start for Stolchamanis. He's going to try and run right round the outside. He plots himself in a second place. So it is Macagnani who leads, Stolchamanis second. Smith already in trouble, down to third position, trying to take on the 2 men up front. So what a start for Macagnani. Stolchamanis is next up. Then it is Smith, Weiss, Martinez, Costoya and Craigie. And Bondarev has got a better start at the moment than Consani. I can't quite see where Consani is. I'm not sure Consani got away, you know. I think Consani may find himself down at the back. Yes, Consani is showing up as down in 25th. So a terrible start for the Frenchman, Andy Consani, barely getting away at all. And Bondarev up to 10th, so that's 1 point for him at the moment. Lindblom going side by side there with Kenzo Craigie. Onto the inside line they go as they work their way through 7 and 8. And then through 9, the right-hander, Costoya, trying to shake off Kenzo Craigie. Craigie has a look to the inside. Costoya is well prepared for him. So a very dramatic start to proceedings then as Bondarev and Lindblom now find their way further forward. Consani is now working his way through the field as quickly as he can. He's already up at the 21st, so he's definitely working his way through the traffic, and that's Lindblom trying to take on Bondarev. Bondarev's got to be careful. He doesn't get himself into hot water. 2 races to go in the points rankings, and the way that Consani is charging back, he knows that the Frenchman is going to be bidding to get back into the points. So Macagnani being out in front is great news for Bondarev because his main rival is behind him. So it's Macagnani that leads the way at the end of the first lap. Then Stolchamanis, Smith, Weiss, Martinez, Costoya, Craigie, Bondarev, Lindblom and Aksoy in the top 10. And we've got a midfield squabble on the way down to the first turn. This is where the slipstream is really going to start to kick in for the drivers. We've already achieved 1 clean lap. 2 Race GP drivers together there. That's going to be Cotti and Genda. Cotti trying to go right round the outside of Jaber Al-Sabab. She keeps her foot in. She's got a little bit of curb though, and that's going to wash the car out a little bit on the exit. So Macagnani, Stolchamanis, Smith, Weiss, Martinez and Costoya. We've got great battles all the way through. There is Kingsley Jung having a bit of a battle there at the moment with Rowan Campbell-Pilling, who's trying to work his way back into contention. As for Andy Consani, he's now 19th. So Andy Consani is just chipping away at these overtakes, trying to work his way forward. There's another one he's making to try and dive up the inside there of his teammate Thomas Genda. So that's Andy Consani into 18th place now. Thomas Genda not giving him too many headaches. That's Andy Consani into 18th then. So he's certainly making up the deficit that poor start has left him with in terms of hard work. So a very tricky move then at the start for Consani, but he's got to try and work his way back. So Macagnani leads, Stolchamanis, Smith, Weiss, Martinez, Costoya, Craigie and Bondarev. So Bondarev up to 8th place. This is great news. 4 points on the board for him. And if he can take a few more points, he could actually win the title in UAE4 before we even get to the last race. He's got to find 8 points more than Andy Consani. He currently has 4 points more. So if Bondarev can get into 6th position, if he can get ahead of Craigie and Costoya with Consani not scoring, then Bondarev can win the title before we even get to race 3. Bondarev needs to make up 2 places to do that. And it looks as though he's going to try and make the bid for the first one. So Bondarev is going wheel to wheel with Kenzo Craigie. He was a nose in front of him as they went forward. Craigie can do a little bit of work here to help his team and his teammate, but Bondarev's got him. Bondarev is through around the outside. So Bondarev into P7. Great work from the man from Ukraine. And if he gets one more overtake with Consani staying out of the points, then Bondarev will win the UAE4 Series title before we even get to race 3. One more overtake for Bondarev. He's currently looking at P7. That's 6 points on the board. He currently leads by 17. So the tally is now a gap of 23. If he can get one more overtake, he will lead by 25, with 25 available in the last race. And even if Kunsani wins and Bondarev doesn't score in the third race, Bondarev would still win on countback because he would have 4 wins to Kunsani's 3. So all Bondarev has got to do is make one more overtake. And the man he's got to try and pass is the rookie, Christian Castoya. Meanwhile, behind them, Aksoy is trying to get past Skotkin Lindblom. A good run so far for Macagnani. Stolchamanis doing well in second and trying to put the man up front under pressure, but Macagnani has got such fluidity, such rhythm. So Macagnani leads Stolchamanis and Joe Smith, then Vice Martinez, Castoya and Bondarev. But Bondarev just needs to overtake Castoya and he wins the title. Either that or he's got to wait until race 3, and then he would only need to finish 9th in the third race to seal the deal. It's looking so good for the man from Kiev. So Macagnani, Stolchamanis, Smith. Vice is trying to stay with Joe Smith at the moment. At the moment, Bondarev's not close to Castoya, but Castoya's about to engage in a battle here with Martinez. So it's certainly not bad news for Bondarev. Right behind him at the moment, he's got Craigie, Lindblom, Aksoy, Palmer, Shimek, Benoldi, Alsabar, Cotti, Alazari and Kunsani. So Kunsani is down in 17th, and all the fluidity of those first couple of laps have settled back in to a normal rhythm for Kunsani. So the next man Andy Kunsani is going to need to try and overtake is Adam Alazari, and that's going to be very difficult indeed. 2 drivers under investigation for the start. That's the 99 David Kozma and the 17 Zakaria Dole. So Zakaria Dole under investigation, as is David Kozma, for their start procedures. Very unfortunate. But now we're going to get to see some more great battles as the tyre degradation is really going to ramp up from this moment on. We've had more green flag running in this race than we had in the entirety of yesterday's. That tells you how much more clean the drivers are being today, and you would normally think the reverse grid race is where there would be more shenanigans. Alpak Soy trying to close up on Skotkin Lindblom, then Palmer, Shimek, Benoldi, Al-Sabar's under pressure from Emily Cotti, and there goes Kunsani, wheel to wheel with Adam Alazari. Alazari is not going to make it easy for the Frenchman. They're racing for position. He has absolutely no obligation to get out of the way and let Andy Kunsani through. They're not in the same team, and Alazari's got his own agenda. So for Andy Kunsani, that poor start really is proving to be a big problem. So as we go down the main straight once again, Macagnani is your leader, and he's still clear of Stolchamanis, but Smith is closing on the Latvian. Bondarev's starting to close up on the Vice Martinez Castoya train. So Bondarev only needs to overtake one more car, but he won't be thinking about that right now. All he'll be thinking about is maximizing this opportunity. The team will have told him, Kunsani's behind you, he got a poor start. Use it, this is your chance. Grab as many points as he can, side by side. That is XL versus his own teammate, that's Pascanetti and Sadiq. Thomas Ingram Hill trying to get up the inside line to make an overtake. And we know how quick he is this weekend. Sadly, he got disqualified from race 1 for a technical infringement. But as you can see, Ingram Hill's going for it, and he's taking Vukalantsev along for the ride. And he makes a bid on the inside line up into turn 4, but he can't finish the job. Out of 5. Really good to see such clean racing in UAE4 this time. Now in a change to the schedule for Formula Regional Mid. Oh, contact! Contact! That looks like Alazari and Kunsani! Alazari and Kunsani! I can't believe it! It looks like the championship contender, Andy Kunsani, has tangled with Adam Alazari. That is absolutely catastrophic for the title fight. Kunsani is out of race 2. Safety car is called. Well, Adam Alazari collides with collides with Andy Kunsani. The two of them were battling, and now the team can tell Bondarev, your title rival is out. All he has to do now is finish. He doesn't even have to win the race in this one. He doesn't have to win the title in this one. He just needs to bring home some points. The pressure is right off Bondarev. Let's see what happened. They're battling together side by side. Al-Azhari. Konsani tries to tuck back in. And Al-Azhari moves. Konsani's moving across as well. And they take each other into the barriers. And that's Al-Azhari and Andy Konsani out on the spot. And that is sadly going to be the moment that Andy Konsani and the Race GP team could well remember as the moment Andy Konsani's title dream evaporated. Well, what a disaster. So a very difficult problem then for the Race GP team. All of that hard work to put him into a race-winning position yesterday. He is out on this occasion, and that surely opens the gates for Alexander Bondarev to seal the title. He only has to overtake one more car, and then he puts it beyond doubt. There will still be one race to go later, but a very tricky problem then for the Race GP team, and certainly for Andy Konsani. That's the 22. That is our good friend Ben Yuing recovering after a trip to the pits. Now normally we would have Ben Yuing chatting to us on the live stream. That's how you know he's not racing, because if he's not racing, he's watching along on YouTube and chatting with us, giving us some context. But that's the scene that all the French fans watching will be heartbroken to see. Adam Al-Azhari and Andy Konsani out of the race on the spot after a collision. Both drivers are okay. I can see Adam Al-Azhari to the side. Let's have a look at it again from the start. Now look at Konsani. He barely moves at all in 12th position on the grid. Manages to get going again. And from that moment on, his fate was sealed. Cracking start from Stolchamanis. The Latvian really getting on with it. So really good to see everybody keeping it clean and green on the first few laps. We made it as far as the 4th lap until we got our first safety car of race number 2. But we still had more green flag running than yesterday. And hopefully that safety car will be fairly quick to navigate. Castoya having a great opening lap, battling away there with Martinez. And it's red flags. It's red flags. So it looks like they have decided to red flag the race. Now I wonder, the angle that Adam Al-Azhari hit the barrier, I wonder if that's caused damage to the Armco. Because that would be the only reason really at this stage of the race where we would consider going to red flags. So I wonder if the impact between Al-Azhari and Konsani going into the Armco has actually caused them to throw the red flags. What a move this was for Bondarev though, round the outside of Craigie to put him one car away from winning the title. And here's the incident between Al-Azhari and Konsani. That's it in real time. Bang. So I wonder if the speed of that accident has actually dented the Armco, and if the Armco is not safe to run, then we can't race. So the race has been red flagged. It's clearly going to take a little bit longer than just a couple of laps under safety car to clear it. Our race director, Mr. Eduardo Freitas, has made it very clear in the past that he doesn't want to spend lap after lap after lap behind the safety car. If they can red flag the race and get the session moving again after the repair work is done, then we can have as long a race as possible on the restart. So there is the red flag waving. Questions are also being asked of the Formula Regional Middle East Trophy. Well, after some technical difficulties, we will now have qualifying and 2 races today. So the race will not be taking place for race number 2 of the Formula Regional Middle East Trophy. That means we will not get a reverse grid race in the season finale. There's the message from race control. Race will resume at 10:15. That is in 10 minutes time. Now that is really good news, because it means that the repair work to the Armco is clearly not going to be a long job. So the timer will reset itself. And I think we're going to get about 18 minutes plus the additional lap. So let's see what will happen as we get ourselves back into a very exciting battle up at the sharp end of the field. Don't forget that race 3 will see Adi Konsani take the lead from pole position, and Bondarev will be in 4th on the grid. So there will be a little niggling feeling in the back of Bondarev's mind that if he can just get ahead of Kostoya on this restart and stay P6, he doesn't have to think about winning the championship in race 3 because it will already be done. So he's certainly got a lot of work to do, but the pressure will be sky high on the restart, that is for sure. He's certainly going to have a tough mission. There will be 15 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. So that is almost two-thirds distance. I do apologize for the condition of my vocal cords. The worst time in history to get flu, right? But we'll do our best to keep going, and we'll bring you the coverage as it happens. Here at Lusail International Circuit in Qatar for the UAE4 Series race weekend finale. And it all gets to conclude on Friday the 13th. So we're going to have a restart then, 15 minutes plus the additional lap. And it will be Macagnani that leads on the restart from Thomas Stolchamanis. 3rd position on the reboot will be Joe Smith, hoping to hang on for a podium in front of Elia Weiss, Jacopo Martinez, Christian Kostoya, and the man who has the fastest lap of the race, Alexander Bondarev, P7. So there's the race leader, Niccolo Macagnani, looking for his 2nd reverse grid win of 2026. His first came all the way back at Yaz last month, so he's hoping to make it happen again. A couple of slight adjustments needed, nothing illegal about that. Under red flag conditions, you can make a couple of adjustments. And there is Thomas Stolchamanis. All of the Latvians watching will be very hopeful that this man can become a 2-time winner in the Middle East. He got a victory last year. Both he and Stolchamanis are seeking their 2nd win in F4 racing in the Middle East. Look at the tyre degradation on Stolchamanis' car. That shows you how hot it is. The tyres really are degrading quickly, particularly in the outer core of the tyre. Joe Smith being encouraged there by the Virtuosi Racing Team engineers who have flown out here to assist the XL team, and particularly their 2 young charges, Jared Clark and Joseph Smith. So for the British driver, he'll be feeling a little bit irritated that he let the pole position get away. Ashley O'Brien pointing out that he hopes I've got some tea. I've had 3 green teas this morning already, as well as a cup of soup and some noodles. I had some tom yum last night as well. You should have heard what it was like this morning when I woke up. There barely was any voice at all. Elia Weiss getting himself ready for the restart. He'll be going from P4 in front of the PHM driver, Jacopo Martinez. Great to see a pair of PHM drivers up in the top 5, very much continuing on the journey and the legacy left over by Taylor Barnard and Nikita Bedrin in years gone by. But in P6 is the McLaren Junior, Christian Kostoya for Spain, and one place behind him is Alexander Bondarev. If he can get ahead of Christian Kostoya at some point during this restart, he'll win the title. There is Christian Kostoya in the McLaren driver development colours. In car number 1, he's already a race winner this year. He got the reverse grid win in round 3 at Dubai. But the man behind him is standing on the crest of a wave. Both of these guys technically in the Prema awning, and they are teammates, so they will not want to cause an issue for each other. Run by Falcons, runs in collaboration with Prema. the team only running in the Middle East. And this man, number 27, the Bison from Kyiv, looking for a chance to seal the title. The Williams Junior driver hoping that this is going to be his moment of glory today. He's certainly got a great chance of it now that Andy Konstani is out of race 2. And all he's got to do is bring it home. He doesn't even have to win the title in race number 2. There's Kenzo Craigie, the man that Bondarev overtook in that opening phase. But if Bondarev finishes P7, he scores 6 points. The gap was reduced from 24 points to 17 yesterday. If he finishes P6, then Bondarev can make it 25, with 25 available in the last race of the season. If he gets P6 or better, Bondarev wins the UAE4 series title before we even think about race 3. Scott Kinlimblom, the Red Bull Junior, getting himself ready for the restart in front of Alpak Soy, the man from Istanbul. Podium yesterday, second rookie win of the campaign yesterday as well. But you can feel the tension at Mumbai Falcons, can't you? Particularly when you consider that they want to win the team's title, and their race yesterday, definitely a fascinating one in terms of the title fight. So now we're going to get to see what will occur in these last race and a half. Race GP came into this weekend with 235 points. Mumbai Falcons came in with 203. So a win for Race GP yesterday, a potential win for Mumbai Falcons in this one. It's going to be tight. It's going to be very tight in the team's trophy. Dominic Šimek in front of his teammate Bernardo Bonaldi. Two great young talents who've got decent potential ahead of them for 2026. I always think it must be very difficult to be a Formula One driver watching your son go into the world of racing. Must be very difficult indeed as well to try and keep your hands off the rails, as it were. Just because what worked for you to get to Formula One worked for you doesn't mean it'll work for your offspring. And it can be very easy to get caught up in that charge to help your young next generation racer in the family work their way forward. There's Emily Cotti, number 42, getting herself ready for another crack at the whip. Drove beautifully yesterday, P30 to P18 in the end. So she can be very happy indeed with the progress she's making. Even if things are not going so well in the Middle East, you know, she won the ladies' title in both Italian and Euro 4 last year, in the same way that Kia Nakamura won both titles overall. So Emily Cotti actually goes to Italy this season with a chance to quest for victories. Just think what would have happened if she had had a dry track to play with at the Corkscrew on the opening lap of race 2, round 2. She might have disappeared into the distance and never have been challenged for that victory. Unfortunately, at the Corkscrew on the first lap, it was raining on that lap, and she was unsighted going down the Corkscrew, part of the circuit. Nobody ever really gets to do any regular running on. Bless you all, you're coming up with ideas to help get myself sorted out. When I get back home, apparently I need to try a homemade flu killer shot. Grate up some ginger, juice up half a lemon, add some chili flakes, 1 crushed garlic tooth, a pinch of cumin, black pepper, and chug it. I like the sound of that. I'm actually going to make a note of it. That could help very well. I'll let you know. So while I take some ingredients to fix myself, there's no ingredients needed to fix the charge for Alexander Bondarev. All he's got to do is get ahead of Christian Castoya on this restart, which will take place in just over a minute. And the race will resume behind the safety car, just as it did yesterday. But of course, we'll have 15 minutes plus the additional lap and a chance for Alexander Bondarev. He doesn't have to win the title in this race, but he can certainly get himself one step closer to doing it. 7th will put him just 2 points away from securing the title. If he can get ahead of Castoya, he wins it before race 3. So the safety car ready to lead out the pack. Niccolò Maccagnani, number 19 for the Mumbai Falcons team, Bondarev's teammate, ready to lead us in the remaining 15 minutes of this race. Everyone watching back home in Ukraine and across Europe who have been watching this kid since he got into the world of karting with his own independent Tony Kart outfit, before joining Kart Republic's factory team, before joining Prema, before joining Williams as a junior driver and switching to F4. This boy has already had so many column inches written about him. He is potentially 15 minutes away from winning his first car racing title. It could happen this morning, or it could happen this afternoon. We'll have to watch and wait. Looks like the car behind Bondarev, that's Kenzo Craigie, struggling to get away, but he has now managed to venture out onto the circuit. So the contenders are ready to go to battle one more time. Is this going to be the race that decides Alexander Bondarev's UAE4 Series title fate, or will he have to wait for this afternoon? It's down to him. He can wait, or he can clinch it now. The smart money says, you know what, P7, that's vital points. Just wait. Good things come to those who wait. But he's a racing driver. He will see just how big the opportunity is to get ahead of his teammate Christian Castoya in the Prema stable. If he can get ahead of him, then he wins the title. For those who are not familiar with why we're under the red flags, the race was stopped after a collision between Adam Alazari and the recovering Adi Konsani. The title contender and the young man from Dubai ending up in the barriers on the way out of, I think it was turn 6. They came together, and unfortunately the race ended up being suspended in red flag conditions. Konsani out means he cannot score in race 2. He is on pole position for race 3, and that's 25 points if he wins. The gap between Bondarev and Konsani at the moment is 17 points. If Bondarev finishes 7th, he scores 6 and takes the points gap back up to 23. If he gets ahead of Castoya, he gets 2 more points and he takes the gap to 25. There are 25 available in the last race, so even if Konsani wins, Bondarev would still win the title, because Bondarev has won 4 times, and if Konsani wins this afternoon, that will be his 3rd win. It's looking so good for Alexander Bondarev, but it's not done yet. So the safety car is leading the pack around as the drivers get back up to speed to warm up the tyres and brakes to the optimum temperature. Are we going straight to racing conditions, or are we going to have 2 laps behind the safety car? It's in this lap, safety car in this lap. So we're going to get straight back in with racing. And now it's up to Niccolò Maccagnani, who will lead Stolchemanis, Smith, Weiss, Martinez, Christian Castoya, and the potential champion-elect, Alexander Bondarev, P7, ahead of Craigie, Lindblom and Aksoy. Can he get ahead of Castoya and win the title now, or will he have to wait until race 3 this afternoon? The only way to find out is to watch Niccolò Maccagnani pull clear out in front of Stolchemanis and Smith as the battle for the penultimate race of the year in UAE4 Series gets back underway. Out of the final turn and along the home stretch, it's green, 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 green here in Losail. And already Joe Smith fancies his chances on Stolchemanis. He's looking hungry for a move. Looks as though Lindblom and Craigie are having a bit of a battle as well. So Lindblom fancies his chances to move forward. It's already a tussle between Smith and Stolchemanis. Stolchemanis defends. Smith is going to try to draw level alongside to cover. Bondarev's having a look on the inside of Castoya. Bails out of it, decides against it. Not a wise decision to go too early. But Smith could help out a little bit here. Making the bid on Stolchemanis could certainly cause a chain reaction further back. Maccagnani leads. Stolchemanis, Smith, Weiss, Martinez, Castoya, Bondarev, Craigie, Lindblom and Aksoy. So now we're going to get to see a move on the inside line of Smith. That's Elia Weiss. Weiss is going to try and go for the move on Smith. He has to bail out as Castoya tries to take on Martinez. Bondarev with a chance on the inside line as a result. Castoya leaves the door open, but Bondarev bails out again. This is smart from Bondarev. Attack, but don't get too aggressive. Remind Castoya that he's there. If he can force him into the mistake, then he may not even have to make an overtake on him. 10 minutes left of race 2 of this week, the season finale of the UAE4 series. Bondarev tries on Castoya. Is that going to be enough? No, he waits. So again, the McLaren Junior psychs out the Williams Junior. But let's see how things continue. Macagnani still in front of Stolchamanis and Smith. Weiss holds on from his teammate, Stolchamanis' his teammate, I should say, as Bondarev again looks at Castoya, but doesn't go for the move. He's trying to keep the Spaniard guessing. So with 9.5 on the clock, Macagnani leads Stolchamanis and Smith. Then Weiss, Martinez, Castoya, Bondarev, and it looks like there's a bid there from Lindblom to try and take on Aksoy. Bondarev tries to make sure he's not overtaken from behind as Lindblom dives in on Craigie. And the Swede is going to get the move on the British driver, is he? Oh, as they both run out wide. Craigie keeps his foot in, and he'll go side by side with Lindblom. One of the Tridents ran wide there as well. I think that was Bernardo Benaldi. And they're still side by side behind Bondarev. So Lindblom versus Craigie still absolutely together. They work their way through. Who's going to come out first? It is going to be Craigie. Lindblom had to bail. Aksoy and Palmer now lining up a chance to go for it. So again, Bondarev just follows in the wheel tracks of Castoya. High tyre degradation, 8.5 minutes to go. No need to rush. Consani out of the race. He won't score whatever happens in this race. So for Bondarev, he just needs to stick like glue to the rear wing of Castoya, and when the Spaniard is vulnerable, he can make his play. What an opportunity for Bondarev. Started P11, has worked his way to 7th. If he can take one overtake, he'll win the title before race 3. Smith still putting pressure on Stolchamanis. Weiss, Martinez, Castoya and Bondarev are still strong behind them. Macagnani is gone out front. He loves having clear track in front of him. The Italian is just legendary if you get into the lead. So with Macagnani disappearing out front, Stolchamanis is very much doing his best here to fend off the attack from Smith, Weiss, Martinez, Castoya, Bondarev, Craigie, Lindblom and Aksoy. That's Campbell-Pilling, having got through past Emily Cotti. So Rowan Campbell-Pilling doing a grand job on that particular race. So safety car. Safety car is called again. Now I'm not sure what it's for. Oh, that's what it's for. That's the XL. That's Lucas Pasquinetti. So that's Lucas Pasquinetti. It looks as though he's gone into an incident with Bader Al-Sulaiti. So that is not good news for the Qatari on home soil. And there is Bader Al-Sulaiti. You can just about make him out on the far side of the course. There is Bader Al-Sulaiti's car. So we're under safety car with 7 minutes to go. Goodness me. Talk about tension. And so we're going to carry on. And it's red flag again. Red flag again. Wow. That's the second red flag in this race. And with 6 minutes and 44 still on the clock, are we going to go racing again? They could declare it. Now we need to get to 75 minutes race distance. Here's the incident though. Oh, that's scrappy between Pasquinetti and Bader Al-Sulaiti. They didn't leave each other enough room. And Bader Al-Sulaiti suddenly realized he had a car that was undrivable. He was lucky, actually. He didn't hit anything there other than Lucas Pasquinetti. But with 2 cars out on the far side, that's another red flag. Now, question. Will we restart this race or will it be declared? Because we've got 20 minutes completed in this race, 7 minutes to go, but there is a title on the line here. Right, the clock has been stopped at 7 minutes plus 1 lap. So I've got a feeling that we're going to try and run these 7 minutes out so that we get full race distance. The beauty of this week is that we're the only championships on the bill. There are no other cars out here on the schedule. Well, Bader Al Sulaiti and Lucas Pasquinetti are out of their cars and they're okay. 7 minutes plus 1 lap will take us to a full race distance covered. But let's see what happens on this final restart. We hope it's the final restart. I can't see them restarting it again if we end up with only, if we end up with a third red flag. I can't see us getting a race restart after this one. But with 7 minutes remaining, there's enough incentive there for the race director to take us to the full race distance. And this is essentially so strong a position for us to be in with the race schedule that we dictate when everything happens. There is Bader Al Sulaiti's car. There's flexibility in the schedule for those asking, because we are the only championship other than the Formula Regional Middle East Trophy that are racing here today. Tomorrow, WEC takes over as they go testing. But today, the racetrack is our own playground, so we can adapt and adjust the schedule however we need to. So let's look at how things currently stack up. Macagnani leads, Stolchamanis is second, Smith, Weiss, Martinez and Castoya. Bondarev, Craigie, Lindblom and Aksoy. Those are the point scorers. Behind them, Theo Palmer, in front of Dominic Šimek. Then it is Jarrett Clark ahead of Jaber Al-Sabah, Rowan Campbell-Pilling, Emily Cotti, Bernardo Bonaldi, Kingsley Jung, David Cosma, 19th, considering he started almost dead last. 36th up to 19th is very impressive. Tamas Kenda, 20th place in front of Flono Tohatema, Rafael Weissen and Eduardo Yakabuchi, Shabi Abi Gabriel, Thomas Ingram Hill, Hani Sadiq, Vladimir Vokalantsev, Pablo Costin, Ryushu Nagasato. There you go. Race will resume at 10:37 a.m. behind the safety car. That's in about 10 minutes' time. Behind Nakazato, we've got Zach Dole, Brock Burton, Shunanji, Ben Yuing, Nasser Al-Thani, and that's it. 4 retirements. Lucas Pasquinetti, Bader Al Sulaiti, Adam Al-Azari, and of course, very dramatically indeed, with Adam, is Andy Consani. So it looks as though there's going to be another adjustment to the timing schedule. The qualifying session for Formula Regional Middle East Trophy will be after this race, in a schedule that's already been put back a little bit. But the race will resume behind the safety car at 10:37 local time. That's in 10 minutes. Bless him, Drew's telling me I need to go get a ginger beer after the race. You sure I've got time? I've still got 2 qualifying sessions, 2 Formula Regional Middle East Trophy races, and the 3rd and final UAE4 Series race after this one. And I don't know if you've ever been to the Losail International Circuit before, but there's not exactly a 7-Eleven just round the corner. So there is Nicolo Macagnani, getting himself ready for another good restart. And Leah wants to know, does Jake have to do SWC next week? He certainly does. He's looking forward to it. That'll be a great start to the Epic Championships, SWC, Spanish F4 and Euro Cup 3. Looking forward to that season. It's going to be a great, great contest. Unfortunately, I have got a nice week in between. A nice week in between to recover and recuperate, and I'm celebrating it the way many people in Asia have been convincing me to for quite a long time. Chinese New Year will be spent for me in China this coming week. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great fun. So we're under red flag for the second time. The first incident that saw Adam Al-Azari and Adi Consani take each other out and bring us to red flag. The race resumed, and after 10 minutes, we ended up with another red flag. Lucas Pasquinetti and Bader Al Sulaiti coming together. The race will resume at 10:37 local time. That's in under 10 minutes time, and there'll be 7 minutes plus the additional lap. And for anybody who is a fan of Williams in F1 or Alexander Bondarev, the young man from Ukraine, it could be the longest 7 minutes plus 1 lap of everything they've ever watched. So there is young Elia Weiss, the German talent who will line up on this restart in 4th position. Elia Weiss getting ready for a very positive restart. There's Jacopo Martinez looking good for a P5 if he can hold on to his position. Very impressive young Italian. He's got one of the broadest grins you're ever going to see in the sport as well. Another swig of water. Who thought that water wasn't good enough to bring your voice back? It'll have to do for the moment. Tyre pressures just having a little adjust there for the BHM team. You're allowed to make these adjustments as long as you've got them all done before 3 minutes to go. Hang on a minute. Tyres are being changed for Alexander Bondarev. And it looks like they're being adjusted in terms of tyre pressures for Christian Gastoya. So Alexander Bondarev and the Mumbai Falcons crew, they've decided let's change the tyres. That's what we want to be looking at. Nothing wrong with that under red flag conditions. They've only got 2 sets to use. Sometimes you can use the old ones. Some people will leave their fresh set of tyres back. But if you've got a red flag, if you want to change them, you can. So I wonder if the Mumbai Falcons have seen an opportunity here. We've got 7 minutes left. There's the team just keeping an eye on things for Bondarev. But if they put his fresh set of tyres for race 3 on now, he's going to have such a grip advantage on this restart. Well, it looks like they've been scrubbed in that set, but it looks so much better condition than those of the drivers around him. This could be the moment where Alexander Bondarev claims the title that everyone back home in Ukraine wants so much. There have been so many dark days, a lot of adversity, and that's just for Alexander Bondarev. But if you're a Ukrainian and you love motorsport, this could end up being a very emotional quarter of an hour. We are still waiting for the first ever Formula One driver from Ukraine. And with this boy about to seal the deal for his first car racing championship out here in Lusail in Qatar, we could be getting a few minutes closer to that. So the 4th and final event of the UAE4 Series 2026. 2 at Yas Marina, 1 at Dubai Autodrome, then a week off, and then here, the season finale at the Lusail International Circuit. Venues for Formula One and the Dubai 24 Hours, utilised out here in the Middle East. It is the 11th campaign for single-seater racing at F4 level out here in the Middle East. And in the last decade, there have been some quite astonishing race drivers, all with massive reputations behind them, to work their way through this paddock and go up the ladder. Just in terms of race-winning success, some of the names that have won races in this paddock in the last 10 years is pretty astonishing. Jonathan Aberdeen, Charles Wirtz, Francesco Pizzi, James Wharton, Matteo Nannini, Alexander Bondarev now on 6, tied with Hamda Al-Kubaisi, Rafael Kamara, Alex Powell and Emanuele Olivieri. Some other big names, Joshua Dirksen, Nikita Bedrin, Hugo Waguchuku, and the late, great Delano Van 't Hoff. Nico Gola, Kirill Smal, Enzo Trulli, Tuka Tapanen, Rashid Al-Daheri and Keanu El-Azari in their own race to become the first man from the United Arab Emirates in Formula One. Ollie Caldwell, David Schumacher, Shihab Al-Habzi, Lucas Alecho Roy, Kia Nakamura Berta, Charlie Wirtz, Lucas Pettersson, Leon Köhler, William Alatalo, Lorenzo Flusha, Vladislav Lomko, Alex Dunn, a certain driver called Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Freddie Slater, Kabir Anurag, Alpak Soy, Louis Sharp, Andy Consani, Sebastian Fernandez, Sean Babington, Fabio Scherer, Leonard Hugenboom, Tom Beckhauser, Amaury Cordial, Caio Collet, Timon van der Helm, Nicholas Krutten, Nicola Marinangeli, Eric Juniga, Jamie Day, Pepe Marti, Taz Interpuvazak, Taylor Barnard, another certain race driver by the name of Arvid Lindblad, Zachary David, Enzo Deligny, Gabriel Stilp, Dorian Pain, Thomas Stolchamanis, Renaud Franco, August Raber, Niccolo Macchignani, Kenzo Craigie, Christian Castoya, Kai Dadianani, Gustav Jonsson, Sebastian Weldon, Theo Palmer, Rowan Campbell-Pilling, Peyton Westcott, Amna Al-Kubaisi, and Alex Connor. 72 drivers in 10 years to win races out here in the Middle East at F4 level. So the Lusail International Circuit will finish off strong for race 2 with 7 minutes plus the additional lap as this race will restart. We'll start behind the safety car as per usual in these situations. But what a challenge it is for Alexander Bondarev. Will he go for broke and push to get into the top 6? He currently sits P7. That would be 2 points away from sealing the title. If he stays where he is in race 3, all he would need is 9th or better, and he wins the title. If he gets ahead of Christian Castoya, he wins the championship before he ever gets to race 3. You've got a feel for the Frenchman Andy Consani, and there's a lot of respect between Bondarev and Andy Consani. They've grown up together in the world of karting, in WSK, FIA karting, Champions of the Future. They've been sharing the grid for multiple competitions over the last few years. They've become very good friends, as all of the kart racers tend to do when you grow up together. But now it's time to see if Bondarev can seal his own fate in this 7-minute blast to the checkered flag as we get back under starters' orders behind the safety car. When the safety car pulls in, Bondarev will be left to try and fight for those final couple of points. So for Niccolo Macchignani, Thomas Stolchamanis, Joseph Smith, Elia Weiss, Jacopo Martinez, and Christian Castoya in the top 6. It'll be a fascinating challenge. The leading rookie at this moment is actually Jacopo Martinez. Christian Castoya would love to take a win off him. If he can get ahead of Martinez, then he'll grab another rookie victory. Kenzo Craigie, he was on the verge to win the rookies title, 3rd overall in the drivers' points. He has 183 coming into the weekend compared to Castoya on 140 and Alpak Soy on 121. So it's looking pretty comfortable for Kenzo Craigie. But for Niccolo Macchignani, he just wants to get on with it. Runs very close indeed to the safety car. Enough waiting. I want to win this race. So the race is back on, albeit under safety car conditions. When the safety car peels in, it'll be the final run to the flag in the penultimate race of the campaign. Macchignani for Mumbai Falcons and Italy. Stolchamanis for PHM and Latvia. Joseph Smith for XL and Great Britain. Elia Weiss for Race GP and Germany. Jacopo Martinez for PHM and Italy. Christian Castoya for Prema and Spain. And Alexander Bondarev for Mumbai Falcons and for Ukraine. Will the title be decided in the next 5 minutes, or will we have to wait until this afternoon in race 3? All 6 of the drivers ahead of Alexander Bondarev couldn't care less about the title. They want to win the race. They've got their own agenda. Safety car in at the end of this lap. So we will go straight to green. We'll have just under 5 minutes, to go racing. and we will see how this race will play out. We make our way in the final phase of the course up to turn 12, 13 and 14. Safety car pulls clear. It's up to Nicolo Macchignani now to start this race. There are the high-tech boys getting themselves ready to see what Theo Palmer and Skotkin Lindblom can do. Lindblom will start from 9th, Palmer from 11th. Macchignani goes for it. So the Italian drops the hammer, and he will work his way through turn 15 on the run down to the final turn at 16. How close is Bondarev to Costoya? The answer is pretty close, but the Spaniard's going after Martinez. So we go after the final corner, and with just under 4 minutes left on the timer, this could be a title-winning race for Alexander Bondarev. It's green, 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 green once again here in Qatar. And you can see already Macchignani trying to break the toe of Stolchamanis. Weiss, Martinez and Costoya are going with them, as Lindblom and Craigie are once again battling away side by side. Martinez battling with Weiss, and Martinez's got ahead. Great work from Jacopo Martinez. He's into 4th place ahead of the German Elia Weiss. As Bondarev comes right round the outside of Costoya. Is he through? Yes! Yes, Bondarev is through! Bondarev gets into P6. What a restart for the man from Ukraine. He's going off to P5 round the outside, and he's made it. Bondarev into P5. He gets past Costoya, then he gets past Weiss. Bondarev wants to win the title in the next 3 minutes. He doesn't have to worry about P6. He's already up into P5. Alexander Bondarev is less than 5 minutes from winning this title, as Costoya duels away now with Elia Weiss and Alp Aksoy. Great restart for the man from Istanbul, as Aksoy is up into 8th place. Looks as though Bondarev wasn't the only one to change tyres under that red flag. I think Aksoy fancied his chances as well. He knows he's got to try and get some decent points out of this weekend in the rookie title fight, but Bondarev is galloping up behind Jacopo Martinez in P5. And P5 would put him on 10 points. So Bondarev's lead would go from 17 to 27, and that will seal the title. So Macchignani, Stolchamanis, Smith, Martinez and Bondarev, Weiss, Costoya, Aksoy, Craigie and Palmer, and we've gone safety car again. In fact, this time, I think we've gone red flag. What is going on in Qatar? All the cars are coming back in again. I genuinely don't know. 3 red flags in quick succession. Race will not resume. Now, the lap was not fully completed. That's why we're stopped. That's Kingsley Zheng. So Kingsley Zheng is parked out on the circuit. So he will not go any further. And it looks as though he's had it coming together with David Kozma. So that's why we've gone red flags. But just because Bondarev is P5 does not mean that's where he'll finish. Because, of course, Bondarev's position was taken during the lap. So I think they're going to have to count back. And that means that Macchignani will take the win from Stolchamanis and Smith. But the original positions should be reset. So I think it'll be Bondarev in 7th, not P5. So from that point of view, if they take it a couple of laps back, which they normally do under these circumstances, that means that Bondarev will have to wait until this afternoon. He's currently P5, but in traditions like this, the drivers end up having to count back a couple of laps. And so I've got a sneaky suspicion the title fight is not over yet. But the race will not resume, and it's Macchignani who takes the win. Thomas Stolchamanis in 2nd, and the British driver, Joseph Smith, will be 3rd. Jacopo Martinez will take the rookie victory. What a dramatic second race of UAE4 here in Qatar. And I have to say, I don't think the title's won yet. So we're going to crack on and we'll carry on the meeting. But certainly for Macchignani, it's a second win in the UAE4 for the Italian stallion.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for the podium ceremony for the 2026 UAE4 Series, Round 4, Lusail International Circuit, Race 2. In third position for the United Kingdom, Joseph Smith. In second position for Latvia, Thomas Stolchamanis. And to your race winner for Italy, Nicola Maccagnani. And last but not least, to our Rookie Cup winner, also for Italy, Jacopo Martinez. It is my honor to invite the Executive Director of Lusail International Circuit, Mr. Mark Boyd, to present the trophies to our 4 men on the rostrum. Starting with, in third position, for Great Britain and Excel Motorsport, Joseph Smith. In second for Latvia and PHM, Thomas Stolchamanis. And in first for Italy and Mumbai Falcons, Niccolo Maccagnani. And finally to our Rookie Cup winner for Italy and PHM, Jacopo Martinez. A congratulations to our drivers. We'll get all 4 drivers to squeeze up on the top step. A big thank you to our guest, Mr. Mark Boyd, and our gentlemen here on the podium in Losail. Only have one race left of the campaign, and we will now ask Joe, Jacopo, Thomas and Nicolo if they want to celebrate. They can do in due fashion here in Losail as our drivers for race 2, UAE4, get busy with a fizzy. Hey, big congratulations to Jacopo Martinez, Joseph Smith, Thomas Stalchemanis, and your race winner, Nicolo Maccagnani. We'll be back once again for race number 3 later this afternoon. Next on track, qualifying for Formula Regional Middle East Trophy.